Good evening, and welcome to our celebration of talent. The first show tonight was written by Neil Simon and is based upon the stories of Anton Chekhov, a Russian playwright. We attempted a Russian accent, but didn't work out very well, so we got rid of it. You will notice, however, that we are keeping the references to their Russian names and references to their kopecks and rubles, kopecks being cents and rubles being dollars. I am Ian Taylor, and I will be the narrator and MC for our productions tonight. Personally, I would much rather talk than work. Anyway, let's get started. Portraying a writer can take a great deal of effort and time. Personally, I ask myself a question. Yet here I am, day after day, writing, and writing. So I ask myself another question. What force is it that compels me to write so incessantly? Story after story, page after page, day after day. And the answer is quite simple. I have no choice. I am a writer. Tonight you are here in the theater with me. I will begin my storytelling with the amazing tale of the sneeze. If Ivan Ilyich Cherchikov, a civil servant, a clerk in the Ministry of Public Parks, had any passion for life at all, it was for the theater. So he purchased 2 tickets in the very best section for the opening night performance of Rostov's The Bearded Countess. As fortune would have it, into the theater that night came his respected superior, General Mikhail Brassilov, the Minister of Public Parks himself. Ladies and gentlemen, the sneeze.
Good evening, General.
Yes. Oh, yes. Good evening.
Permit me, sir. I am Cherchikov, Ivan Ilyich. This is a great honor for me, sir.
Yes.
I, too, serve the Ministry of Public Parks. That is to say, I serve you, who is himself Minister of Public Parks. I am the Assistant Chief Clerk of Trees and Bushes.
Yes. Glorious trees and bushes we have this year. Keep up the good work.
Oh, my wife would like very much to meet you, General. There she is, Madam Cherchikov.
How do you do?
My pleasure.
My pleasure, General.
Madam Grazilov, my wife, Madam Cherchikov.
How do you do, Madam Basilov? How do you do? I just had the pleasure of meeting your husband.
And I am my wife's husband. How do you do, Madam Grazilov?
Shh. Sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
I hope you enjoy your play, General.
I will if I can watch it.
Feeling quite pleased with himself for making the most of his golden opportunity, Ivan Ilyich Cherchikov sat back to enjoy The Bearded Countess. He was no longer a stranger to the minister. If one was generous about the matter, they would say they were familiar with each other. And then quite suddenly, like a bolt from a gray thundering sky, Ivan Ilyich Cherchikov reared his head back and...
I'm so sorry, General. I'm so terribly sorry.
That's all right.
All right. It was certainly not all right. It was monstrous of me.
Just let it rest.
Let it rest. How could I possibly let it rest? Please, permit me to wipe you back. It is the least I can do.
It is fine. Leave it be.
General, your entire head is splattered. Ew. It was an accident, I can assure you, but it is disgusting.
I'm sorry. Very, very sorry.
It came completely without warning. It was out of my nose before I decided. It's not cold. Probably just a particle of dust in the nostril.
But try as he might, Cherchikov could not put the incident out of his mind. The sneeze, no more than an innocent anatomical accident, had grew out of all proportions in his head, until it resembled the angry roar of a cannon aimed squarely at the enemy camp. He replayed the motion in his head over and over again, reviewing in horror the infamous deed.
Charming. Absolutely charming.
Yes, charming.
That was charming. Wouldn't you say, my dear?
I found it utterly charming.
I was completely charmed by it.
Excuse me. Excuse me, Your Excellency.
Who is tapping? What is that tapping? Who's tapping?
I'm tapping. I'm the tapper. I'm church cop.
Stand back, dear. It's the sneezer.
No, it's all right. I'm all sneezed now. I was just concerned about you going out in the night air with a moist head.
It's okay. It was just a mere faux pas. Did you find the play charming?
Amusing? Of course it was amusing. I haven't laughed so much in years.
That's good. What part interested you the most?
The sneeze. When I sneeze on you, I'm so terribly sorry, Your Excellency. It was unpardonable.
Never mind. Just let it rest. Honey, it looks like rain's coming. Wouldn't want my head to get wet again. Let's go home.
Yes, dear. You shouldn't let people sneeze on you. You're not supposed to sneeze on that.
I'm ruined! Ruined, ruined, ruined! He'll have me fired from trees and bushes. He'll send me down to branches and twigs.
Ivan,
What?
you mustn't let it concern you. It was just a harmless little sneeze. The general's probably forgotten about it already.
Do you really think so?
No, I'm scared.
And so they walked home in despair.
Perhaps we should get him a nice gift. Some Turkish towels.
Churchikov's once promising career had literally been blown away.
Why did this all happen to me? Why did we even go to the theater at all? Why didn't we just sit up in the balcony with people of our own class? They just love sneezing on each other.
To bed, Ivan.
But perhaps if I were to call the general in such an honest, charming, and self-effacing manner, he will forgive me.
Maybe it's best not to remind him.
No. If I ever expect to become a gentleman, I must behave like one.
And so the next morning came. It so happened today was the day the general listened to petitions. And since there were 50 or 60 petitions ahead of Churchikov, he waited from morning till late afternoon.
Next!
I'm not next, sir. I'm last.
Very well then, last.
That's me!
So, what is your petition?
I have no petition, sir. I'm not petitioning.
Then you waste my time.
Wait, you not recognize me? I am the splatterer.
The what?
The sneezer. The one who sneezed on you. The sneezing splatterer.
And what is it you want? A Gusen type?
No, Your Excellency. Your forgiveness. I merely wanted to point out there was no political or antisocial motivation behind my sneeze. It was merely a non-partisan, non-violent act of God. I have painful nose, sir, and I curse the day this protrudes formed itself upon my face. Please, exile my nose, but forgive the rest of me. Punish that wretched committed crime, but please absolve the innocent body. Please, Your Excellency.
Boy, my heavens, my boy. My troubles are not with your nose. You need to go home and take a hot bath. Or a cold one, whichever you prefer. But seriously, quit with this gibber. That's all I've heard all day is gibber, gibber, gibber. Gibber, 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 gibber.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May God bless you and your wife and your household. May your days be sweet, and may your nights be better than your days.
The feeling of relief that came over Churchikov was enormous.
May the birds sing in the morning at your window, and may your coffee always be strong and hot.
The weight of the burden that was lifted was inestimable.
I worship the chair you sit upon, and the uniform that rests upon the chair I worship.
He walked home singing and whistling like a lark. Life was surely a marvel, a joy, a heavenly paradise.
Oh God, am I happy!
And yet,
And yet,
when he arrived home, he began to think.
have I been the butt of some cruel and thoughtless joke?
Had the minister toyed with him?
If he had no intention of punishing me, then why did he torment me so unmercifully?
If the sneeze meant so little to the minister, why did he deliberately cause Churchikov to write in his bed?
To twist in agony the entire night?
Churchikov was furious!
I am furious!
He foamed and burned and paced through. In the morning, he called out to his wife, Sonia!
Sonia! I have been humiliated.
Who would humiliate you, Ivan? You're such a kind and generous person.
Who? I'll tell you who. General Brasilov, Minister of the Public Parks.
Well, what did he do?
The swine. He humiliated me in such a subtle fashion it was almost indiscernible. His cunning is equal only to his cruelty. He practically forced me to go to his office to beg and grovel on my knees. I was reduced to a gibbering idiot.
You were that reduced?
I must go back and tell him what the lower classes think of him. I must make it so that men of all nations and creeds, regardless of color or religion, will be free to sneeze upon their superiors. It is he who will be humiliated by I.
And so the next morning, Churchikov came to humiliate he.
Last. What is it that you need?
What is it? Do you not recognize me, sir? Look at my face. Yes, it is I, once again.
It is you once again. Who?
Churchikov, Your Excellency. I have taken neither a hot bath nor a cold one.
Who let this filthy man in? What is it that you want?
What is it? What is it, you ask? You sit there behind your desk and ask, what is it? You sit there in a respected position among the upper class and ask me, a lowly civil servant, what is it? You sit there with full knowledge that there are those of us who bow, those who are bowed to, those of us who obey, those of us who are obeyed, those of us who are humiliated, and those of us who are the cause of that humiliation. And still you ask me, what is it?
Well, what is it?
I'll tell you what I want. I wanted to apologize for sneezing on you the other night. I just wanted to point out it was an accident.
Out! Out, you imbecile! Get out of my sight! You gibber here all day long! I never want to see you again. Never cross my line of sight again, or I'll have you exiled forever. What is your name? You germ spreader! You insect! You are less than an insect! You are the cousin of a cockroach, the stepsister of a bed bug! You are nothing! You are nothing! Nothing!
At that moment, something broke loose inside of Churchikov. Something so deep, so vital, so organic, that the damage that was done seemed irreparable. Something drained from him that can only be described as the very life force itself. The matter was over. For once, for all, forever. Ivan Ilyich Churchikov arrived at home, removed his coat, lied down on the floor, and died. Wait. There is an alternate ending. Ivan Ilyich Churchikov arrived at home, removed his coat, lied down on the floor, and inherited 5 million rubles in that basket there.
5 million rubles? So we're rich, yes!
There's not much point to it, but it is uplifting. I assure you it is not my intention to paint life any harsher than it is. But some of us are indeed trapped. Witness the predicament of a governess who cares for and educates the children of a well-to-do family.
Julia!
Trapped indeed.
Julia! Julia! Julia!
Yes, madam?
Pick your head up. I like to see your eyes when I speak to you.
Yes, madam.
And how are the children coming along with their French lessons?
They're very bright children, madam.
They're bright, you say? Well, why not? And mathematics. They're doing well in mathematics, I assume.
Yes, ma'am. Especially Vanya.
Head up! Certainly, I knew it. I excelled in mathematics. He gets that from his mother, wouldn't you say?
Yes, madam.
Head up! That's it. Don't be afraid to look people in the eyes. If you think of yourself as inferior, that's exactly how people will treat you.
Yes, madam.
A quiet girl, aren't you? Now then, let's settle our accounts. I assume you need money, although you never asked me for it yourself. We did agree on 30 rubles a month, didn't we?
40, ma'am.
No. 30. I made a note of it. I always pay my governesses 30. Who told you 40?
You did, ma'am. I spoke to no one else concerning money.
Oh, impossible. Perhaps you thought you heard 40 when I said 30. If you kept your head up, that would never happen. So, look at me again and I'll say it clearly. 30 rubles a month.
Yes, ma'am.
Then it's settled. 30 a month. And you've been here 2 months exactly.
2 months and 5 days.
No. 2 months. I made a note of it. You should keep books the way that I do, so that there wouldn't be these discrepancies. 2 months at 30 rubles a month comes to 60 rubles, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, and subtract 9 Sundays.
What?
We did agree to subtract Sundays, didn't we?
No, ma'am.
Oh, certainly we did. I always subtract Sundays. Don't you recall when I said that we would?
No, ma'am.
Think, Julia.
No, ma'am.
You weren't thinking, your eyes were wandering. Look at my face. Think, and think hard. Do you remember now?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear you, Julia.
Yes, ma'am.
Very well, then. And 3 holidays.
2. Christmas and New Year's.
And your birthday, that's 3.
I did work on my birthday, ma'am.
You did? Well, there was no need to. My governesses never worked on their birthdays.
But I did work.
That's not the question, Julia. This is concerning financial matters now. I will, however, only deduct 2 holidays if you insist. Do you insist?
I did work.
So you do insist.
No, ma'am.
Very well, that's 12 rubles. And 4 days Kolya was sick. There were no lessons.
But I taught Vanya.
Oh, but I engaged you to teach 2 children. Should I pay you in full for doing half the work?
No, ma'am.
Then we'll deduct it. And 4 days you had a toothache, and my husband gave you permission to not work after lunch.
Until 4. I worked until 4.
No, it says, did not work after lunch. We have lunch at 1 and are finished at 2, not at 4, correct?
Yes, ma'am, but
That's another 7 rubles. Yes. 7 and 12 is 19. Subtract leaves 41 rubles, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And January 4th, you broke a teacup and saucer.
Just the saucer.
But what good is a teacup without a saucer? Another 2 rubles. The saucer was an heirloom, worth much more, but let it go. I'm used to taking losses.
Thank you.
Yes. January 9th, Kolya climbed a tree and tore his jacket.
I forbid him to do so, ma'am.
But he didn't listen now, did he? That's another 10 rubles. And Vanya's shoes were stolen.
By the maid, ma'am. You discharged her yourself.
But I pay you good money to run everything, look over everything. I discussed that in our first meeting. Were you listening, Julia? Or was your head in the clouds?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, your head was in the clouds?
No, ma'am. I was listening.
I was sure you were. That's another 5 rubles. And January 19th, I gave you 10 rubles.
You didn't.
Oh, certainly I did. I made a note of it. Why would I make a note of giving you 10 rubles if I didn't?
I don't know.
That's not a satisfactory answer, Julia. Why would I make a note of giving you 10 rubles if I did not in fact give you 10 rubles? No answer. Then it must be true. And, that comes to 27. Subtract leaves 14 rubles. Correct?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Is everything all right? Has something upset you, Julia? What's the matter? Are you crying? Oh, please tell me. I'm so sensitive to tears. What is it?
Only once since I've worked here have I ever been given any money. And that was by your husband. On my birthday, he gave me 3 rubles.
Really? Well, I have no note of it. I'll write it down, thank you. Yes, 3 rubles on your birthday. Thanks for telling me. Sometimes I'm a little lax with my accounts, always shortchanging myself. So deduct leaves 11 rubles. Do you wish to check my figures?
That's not necessary, ma'am.
Very well then. Here is your salary for 2 months. 11 rubles. Go on, count it.
It's all right, ma'am.
No, keep the record straight. Let's count it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's only 10.
Oh, certainly not. Look on the floor. See if there's a coin there.
I didn't drop any. I'm quite sure.
But I know I gave you 11, and there's no more on my desk. Are you sure?
Yeah. It's all right. 10 will be fine.
Very well. Keep the 10 for now, and if it doesn't show up, we'll discuss it next month.
Thank you, ma'am. You're very kind.
Julia, why did you thank me?
For the money, ma'am.
For the money? Don't you realize what I've done? I tricked you, cheated you. I only gave you 10 rubles instead of the 80 I owe you, and still you thank me. Why?
In all the other places I've worked, they haven't given me anything at all.
Then they cheated you even worse than I did. I was just playing a little trick, a cruel lesson to teach you. You're too trusting in this world, and that's very dangerous. I'm going to give you the entire 80 rubles. It's all here in this box for you. Take it.
As you wish, ma'am.
And Julia, is it possible for someone to be so spineless? Why don't you speak up? Why don't you stand up? Why don't you cry out against this cruel and unjust punishment? Is it possible for someone to be so guileless, so innocent, such a, pardon me for being so blunt, such a simpleton?
Yes, ma'am. It's possible.
Wait. I cannot let this story end like this. There is an alternate ending. Julia was so enraged by such cruel and unjust treatment that she quit her job on the spot and went back to her poor parents, where she inherited 5 million rubles.
Yes! Keep the 80.
I love that ending. Someday I wish to write a book of 37 short stories, all with that same ending. As I said, I do love it so.